What's up, guys? It's Bastian here. While the grim darkness of the 41st millennium did not leave the boss of Team Rocket in a particularly good-looking state, we're going to go back to 2001, when the Team Rocket expansion was reigning the tables when it came to Pokemon TCG. And I brought you the Trouble deck. Today I'll bring you the Devastation deck for the Team Rocket expansion. Interestingly, we have the Boss's Way artwork on the box. You don't actually get the Boss's Way in this deck, however. But let's jump right into it as we normally do, starting with the Pokemon first. There's not many trainers to go through, and then we'll look at the energies. So I'll start with the Pokemon that don't have any evolutions in the deck. We start out with 3 copies of Tangela. Tangela is more of a mid to late game Pokemon, really. The bind is okay. 2 energies for 20 damage, maybe a paralyze. Poison powder is really where the money is because it guarantees a poison. 50 HP, so it's technically not that bad, but I don't like Tangela in any of these decks. I think it's a bit of a waste of space, honestly. We talking about waste of space. Got 3 copies of Weedle, and Weedle, I really don't know why it's in here. If nothing else, at least we get a single energy attack out of this little guy with a possibility of poisoning. If you pull the poison off, it's worthwhile having the Weedle. Otherwise, it's just gonna be your starting Pokemon. This is definitely not going to be. You are losing the game quite badly if you have to send up a Weedle later than the early game. But you are definitely going to be desperate if you have to play this Magikarp. I have no idea why we have a Magikarp in this deck besides the absolute memes that we saw in the anime. When was it James that traded for a Magikarp? I think it was on that boat, and it was just hilarious. I mean, the best you can get out of it is a flail for 20, and then you are going to help your opponent get a prize card very soon after that. Very soon after that. So we're just playing with the light, get the best lighting for you with this ultimate glare that we have going on here. I can't really do much about it. Let's talk about some of the good stuff in the deck. We have 3 copies of Eevee, which can evolve into 2 copies of Dark Vaporeon. The Eevee is alright. It gives us a resistance against Psychic, and we have quite a few different weaknesses in the deck, so at least you're hopefully not going to be too bogged down against any one particular deck. 40 HP is not a lot, so you want to make sure that you got that Dark Vaporeon in your hand when you drop Eevee, if you can. The Sand attack is okay. If the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your opponent's next turn, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, that attack does nothing, but of course this is sitting on your opponent's active, so if they retreat or evolve, that is gone. Dark Vaporeon I love a lot though, especially the Whirlpool attack. Without even a coin flip, if the defending Pokemon has an energy attached to it, you choose one of them and discard it with 20 damage. That's pretty cool, pretty good to have. Even in, obviously, I'm always talking about theme deck battle scenarios here, otherwise this deck would be absolutely rubbish, let's be honest. But even in the scenarios where your opponent has a decently powered up Pokemon, that Whirlpool can add up, and just with the 20 damage, luckily we have enough potions in the deck to get that Dark Vaporeon to do what it's supposed to do in disrupting your opponent's active and get rid of a few energies. But bear in mind that these decks all come with 20 in energy, so more often than not it's fairly easy to recover from these scenarios. We got 3 copies of the Rocket expansion Oddish, which is a particular favorite of mine, I'm not going to lie. Both the Sleep Powder and the Poison Powder are good attacks, particularly the Poison Powder, and you get a 50 HP Oddish, which is cool. I like this Oddish a lot, actually. It's a personal, no, I wouldn't say a favorite of mine, but I appreciate the card. And it gives us a Dark Gloom to go and evolve into, keeps the Poison Powder. No HP increase, unfortunately, but that's quite usual with Dark Pokemon. The Pollen Stench is a risky one, and I really wish we would have gotten at least one full heal energy in the deck. We got a full heal, I'm going to show you guys that later, but they could have really used this to advertise their full heal energy, just like they did with the Trouble theme deck. Not that it would matter too much for Dark Gloom, because it needs 2 grass energy to attack. But anyway, the Pollen Stench on a coin flip, you might be able to put your opponent's Pokemon confused. If not, you will put your own active confused. If you have an EV out and you know you're going to be evolving into Dark Vaporeon, then you don't have much to lose, but you have to play it by ear. The main supposed star of the deck, again, I'm gonna do this just like last time because we got 4 Coughings and 1 Dark Wheezing. That's the big man of the deck. The Coughings are alright. I don't really have much beef with it. It is low HP with the 40. Tackle is okay though to start with. That single energy attack is always good, and most of our basics have a single energy attack except Tangela. However, Coughing has got the poison gas attack, which, as a basic attack, it will deal 20, and then you might get a poison off it as well. There's a very strong poison theme in the deck, by the way. Tangela, Weedle, Oddish, Dark Gloom, and Coughing as well. And Dark Wheezing is actually pretty good. If you get the other 3 Coughings on your bench, that Mass Explosion can deal 80 damage. But you're gonna struggle because there's absolutely I don't think there's any draw power in this deck. No, there's no draw power whatsoever in this deck. So if you get 40 of that Dark Wheezing's Mass Explosion, then you already have done pretty well. You also get nothing to defend your own benched Coughings against the backlash of Mass Explosion. So it's definitely a bit of a risky attack to do. You can also just rely on Stun Gas, which either gives us a poison or a paralyze. So that's always a pretty good one as well to have. If you have that fully powered Dark Wheezing up on your bench, that's definitely going to make your opponent thinking. But you might want to save up for one big Mass Explosion if you can drop the Coughings onto the bench. Technically, you can pull off 80 damage with this Dark Wheezing, technically. But the actual MVP of the deck will be the 3 Squirtles, the Dark Wartortle, and really, this is our main guy, Wartortle, the absolute best Pokemon in this deck. So the 3 Squirtles allow us to obviously use the bubble attack. Again, I must emphasize the importance of the single energy attacks on basics. If you don't have that, you're basically one turn out when it comes to powering up your Pokemon and being able to attack. Bubble is good, 10 damage, maybe a paralyze. I don't really use withdraw. However, Dark Wartortle's Mirror Shell is pretty good because if you activate that, that can be a very good stall tactic. Dark Wartortle gets this effect during your opponent's turn. Even if Dark Wartortle is knocked out, Dark Wartortle attacks the defending Pokemon for an equal amount of damage. So if your opponent is about to KO you, well, they have to deal with that. There's no real other way around it. And it's good that 2 of your 3 Squirtles can evolve. So we got a couple of evolution lines there, and this is the main guy. Withdraw is a very good attack again. I don't use it very often, but it is there if you need it. Squirtle has a Squirtle has a Wartortle, has a Dark Wartortle, has Mirror Shell, which is also pretty cool. But that 3 energy bite for 40 is definitely a big game winner, and also it allows us, because 2 is a colorless, it allows us to not have to run too many water energies in this deck. I think we run 8 or 10, that's what the deck comes with, so that's just about enough. But you want to save up again, you want to make sure that you're only using your water energies for the water Pokemon that need that specific water energy, otherwise you're going to run out and there's no other ways to get it back into your deck or your hand. In terms of trainers, as I've already mentioned, we do get a full heal. This can be good for that Dark Gloom shenanigan if you get it wrong and you don't have an evolution and you really don't want to risk the coin flips with confusion. I wish this was still a full heal energy or a switch. I wish this was a switch. Why couldn't this be a switch? We do get one gust of wind. If you know you're going to deal heavy damage with Dark Weezing or War Turtle, make sure you save that gust of wind for that particular situation. We do get one Imposter Oak's Revenge. Don't know why, but we do. And we get 2 potions, which is good to see, and we get 1 super potion as well. So clearly these are there for the mass explosion. That's why we see a higher amount of potions than regular decks to help a little bit with that mass explosion. And then, as I said, for the rest we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 water energies and 18 grass energies. On paper, I can see this deck being better than Trouble, but I must admit, if you do play against Trouble and Dark Arbok starts to hurt your bench, and then you're trying to pull off Mass Explosion, you can find yourself in a world of hurt, as they say. So you will have to definitely think of what you're playing against. If you see a lot of bench abuse from your opponent, Mass Explosion is pretty much out of the option, unless you really are okay in risking losing Coughings off your bench. But the likelihood of all this coming together with absolutely no draw power in the deck is very slim. With that being said, we do have some fairly interesting utilities in the Pokemon lineup. I still don't understand the Magikarp, but it's there. It's the usual Team Rocket meme. When I have to say that Tangela is a fairly decent Pokemon in this deck, I'm saying a lot. So you might be relying on that poison powder more than you think. But we do poison a lot. We do poison a lot, and we have a lot of non-coin flip reliant poison effects as well of Oddish and Tangela and Dark Gloom. And yeah, that's about it. So, it could work. We'll find out. My buddy and I, we have a match planned where I'm going to run my Devastation deck, and he's going to be running his Trouble deck, the one that I've featured previously. Just to point out, box design, I'm still loving the 2 Pokemon types in the inclusion on that little black background. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. Slowly but surely, I'm getting to cover all the theme decks, so hopefully one day we'll get there. Bastian signing out. Peace.